So I'm going to just switch down to this other project where it's a very similar project, but in this case we've actually filled in all the responses but a few. So you see we're at full counts for all these items, and I've got one more to go on the digital spatial file. So I can go into the digital spatial file window, and I can finalize my checklist by saying yes to this last question, and I can provide an update. And we'll now see that after a refresh here that I've now completed all 7 of 7, and you'll see that this Ready to Submit Checklist to ACLS button is now activated. So a button that's not activated is gray. And when I put my mouse over it, it does not provide me with a link. When it is...
Brent, if I can just say, it really here at this point is ready to submit checklist to the ACLS. And all of the questions that you are providing here, all the answers are only going to be viewed by the ACLS. SGV will never have access to these questions or these checklists. The only thing the Survey General Branch will see is the number that is generated when you hit that button. But yeah, all of the questions there is ready for practice review and ACLS.
Yes. Excellent, Martin. Thank you. And maybe just to expand on that slightly, Martin made a reference to practice review, and the practice review department has been very involved in developing this checklist, and they will, if it's your turn to have a practice review and they're going to review a particular project, they will access the checklist relative to that particular project, and they will include it as part of the material for your practice review. We're also looking at the potential of doing some independent survey document reviews beyond practice reviews. So with the idea that an additional 40 or 50 survey documents will be reviewed against the checklist by the practice review department each year. And the desire there is to do a couple things. One is to get comfort that the checklist process is working and that the responses to the items on the checklist match with what the practice review department expects when they review the survey document. And the other part of that is also to provide some auditing and some understanding about how the process is working. You know, have we got the right terminology on the checklist items? Do people understand what's being asked of them? So it's also being used as a method of testing out the system and understanding how the system can be enhanced and improved as well. So once we're complete all these items, we would then move to the Ready to Submit Checklist to the ACLS button. This is now taking your responses and marking them behind the scenes as being ready to go. It brings you to this page where we're asking you to confirm that you understand that this checklist is a tool for you as a CLS, and that this is not a matter of the ACLS taking any responsibility for the quality of your plan, but it's simply providing a tool to you that allows you to maintain the quality of your products to your best professional abilities. Once you've read this particular statement and you've acknowledged it and accepted it, we ask you to tick the little box there to accept the statement. And then in order for practice review to have an appropriate version of your plan to compare the checklist to, if your particular survey document comes up for that particular review, we're asking that you upload a PDF of your survey document at this point in time. Now, the point that you're at when you're when you're reaching this screen, the intended point that you're at is that as a CLS, you're satisfied that your plan is complete and correct, and that you are ready to plot the Mylar and sign the Mylar, as a CLS. That's the point in time where we're hoping you're going to get to this particular page on the website, and therefore the PDF that you're uploading, save and accept your actual signature, is complete, and you're saying you're willing to sign it, you're ready to go. One of the things I think we want to really, Martin's going to talk about a little more at the end here, but we want to emphasize is that one of the purposes of the checklist project here is really to give you, the CLS, the opportunity to finish your plan to the best of your ability, to the best of your knowledge, and be in a position of producing a Mylar, signing that Mylar, and sending it to the Surveyor General in a way that you believe it's complete and correct. And essentially what we're doing is changing the role of the Surveyor General, and we're going away from the idea of providing provisional returns, so a suite of paper prints that they look at and they review in considerable depth. And we're changing that so that you, the CLS, is expected to do that review, produce a plan that you're willing to stand behind, send that to the Surveyor General branch, and their review is going to be limited to a specific items that will ideally you have addressed through this checklist process, and ideally your plan will be accepted with no issues at the Surveyor General branch. So when you're at that point, you would browse and you would find an appropriate file, and now you're going to submit this. This is the point where all of your checklist items become frozen. Your responses are done. Because you're saying I'm done with my plan. I have no issues left. I'm complete. I've completed my professional review. And the system will record that checklist, and it will add a number. It will provide a checklist number for that particular survey document. So once you have that number, you're now ready to go off and plot your Mylar, add that number to it, or add that number and then plot your Mylar, and then sign the Mylar and start moving it around through any approval processes that are required, and then ultimately shipping it off to the Surveyor General branch.
Just a note on this, Brent, all the specimen plans were updated with to see where the checklist number would be fitting on the final plan there. It's at the bottom right where the project number and the file number information is located. So, but if you look at the specimen plan of chapter D1 and D5, they're all been updated to reflect that checklist number.
Excellent.
And one thing, if we go back to the project, the main project page there, just to see that the milestones have changed at this point.
All right, we'll just get back there. So you'll now see that as we expand this project that we're working on, we'll see that our professional review has now gone to complete, and that we are able to go now into our finalization and submission.
Yeah, and the checklist number is there as well.
Great, thank you. So by clicking on that particular link, it brings us back to our View Update page, and some things have changed. We can still view and print our checklist. That's available to you at any time. But this time, when we go there, what we'll see is that we've recorded our responses, and we've recorded any comments that in fact may be available that you've put in. I don't know if Martin actually put any in this case, but it doesn't look like it. So you get this 4-page PDF, typically 4 pages anyways, that now is a record of the responses that you provided. You'll also see that PDF has been updated to include the checklist number and the date that checklist has been submitted